Greetings and welcome. How are we all feeling at the moment? Today's topic is on what makes up our limitations. And first and foremost, the greatest thing that makes up our limitations is this. It's us. No one has determined that you cannot do something until you accept it. Not good enough according to who? According to yourself? When did you establish that you are not good enough? That you can't do something? What trauma in your past, what situation, what event in your past has made you accept the idea that you are limited? And limitations are just blocks, challenges, difficulties, and it's nothing more than a challenge, because we can't grow without moving past something. But when we start limiting ourselves to the point where we are not functioning anymore, we are not a priority anymore, we are not opening up new doors, new opportunities, moving forward in our journeys, and a limitation can become a barrier. And that could stop you from continuing on in your journey. And it's often something that happened in the past that we now accept is true about us. Either something happened, someone said something, we have trauma, we have past experiences that have shaped our perspective today. But your limitations are what's going to keep you in the same place for the rest of your life. And it's important to understand what makes up our limitations. And the first one is belief. Believing you're not good enough. Believing you can't do something. Believing that it's impossible. And when we create beliefs, we accept ideas. We accept views and perspectives about ourselves, and then we operate out of our beliefs in order to make decisions. And our core beliefs are strong ideas that we reinforce and that we enforce on ourselves. And there is such a thing called a limiting belief. Most beliefs are limiting by nature. I can't wake up earlier. No, I can't drink more water. It's the complete disregard of your ability to put in action steps. And beliefs are very dangerous because in itself, limiting beliefs that stop you in life, that keep you back, that keep you trapped. And another thing that makes up a limitation is fear. A lot of the time we are driven by fear and we want to avoid it at all costs, and we want to run away, we want to stay away from it. But fear is nothing more than a construct of the mind, of what we perceive as threats. Remember, fear stands for false evidence appearing real, and fear will limit you in every single way. Fear in itself is not serving you. It is limiting you. It is blocking you. And it's important to challenge that fear, because if you don't challenge that fear, you won't overcome it. And another thing that makes up our limitations is our assumptions. What we believe is true, what we assume is true. But that is also limiting by nature, because we don't have crystal balls. We can't assume what someone is thinking. We can't assume what someone is feeling. We cannot assume that we are going to have a specific future outcome. It's those assumptions of what we believe that is limiting. It's assuming that we know best, even though we are making the wrong decisions. So it's those assumptions that are also extremely limiting by nature. And then what else limits us is our expectations. Having these standards of how things should be, and it's very tightly linked to assumptions. And the thing is with expectations, when we set expectations, we assume things are going to work out a specific way. And then when they don't, we are angry. We are disappointed. And that limits you because that lowers your tolerance to be able to deal with things. That lowers your tolerance to actually breaking your barriers. So your assumptions and your expectations hold you back a lot, and it makes it very difficult for you to break through that. And another thing that makes up our limitations is overthinking. When we just want to get lost in our minds, let all the horses run 1,000,000 miles a second, and we overthink. And overthinking also doesn't serve you in any way. It's incredibly damaging to the psyche. And overthinking puts you in a place of anxiety and depression. Overthinking is not present focused. It's either past or future focused. And when you are overthinking, you are limiting yourself. You are limiting yourself in the way that you are destroying your own inner peace. Overthinking causes you to catastrophize, to put yourself through the situation twice. So when the situation actually presents itself, you are actually very limited by nature because you've gotten into your own mind so deeply about it that you can't deal with it when the moment presents itself. And our limitations also have to do with how we define problems. Because if a problem is not a challenge, then it's a limitation. Because we decide what is a problem. A problem for you is not a problem until you have determined that it's a problem. And if you define problems as impossible and as a nuisance and as an issue, then you're going to limit yourself, because by dealing with problems is how we move up in life. It's how we move on. It's how we grow. It's how we self-develop. So if you are defining your problems in a negative way, then you are limiting yourself because you're not seeing it as a challenge of something that needs to be overcome and be moved past. And the thing is, when people get depressed, when people get down, when people feel numb, when people get lost in their emotions and their dysregulated way of thinking, they don't see a way forward. And not seeing a way forward is very unfulfilling, and that can limit you from setting goals, putting in action plans, and actually achieving what you want out of life. Because what's the point of going on a journey if you don't see a way forward? And that is a huge, huge limitation by not seeing the way forward. And I promise you, there's always a way forward. Even if you have to change your map, even if you have to change your direction of your journey, there's always a way forward. And if you don't see a way forward, you are heavily limiting yourself. And another way that we limit ourselves is doubt. We doubt ourselves. We doubt our skills. Am I competent enough? Can I do it? Am I good enough? And we doubt our abilities. Can I actually do it? Am I qualified enough for this? Do I know what I'm doing? And that puts barriers to your functioning, to your goals, to your productivity. And also, what makes up our limitations depends on how free we are within ourselves. Because when we cage ourselves, when we entrap ourselves in our own mind, when we are not psychologically free, then we are limited heavily, and we are stuck in this mental clutter, so much mental distress that freedom is no longer attainable, and that's what's limiting us. And also what we what we repress. Because if you repress things, they will catch up to you later in life and they will limit you in life. When you repress things, it becomes a problem and that becomes a limitation. Because when you're not dealing with your trauma and you keep repressing the things that are happening to you, you are going to eventually explode one day. This happens. We are human. We can only take so much. So what we repress persists as a problem, and that will limit us. Remember, there's so many ways that we limit ourselves. Be careful. A problem is only a problem once you make it a problem. A limitation should be a challenge to find a way forward, to break free, not to get stuck in the same problems cyclically. So remember, you are unique and valuable. Take care of that stunning person. Stay strong wherever you're from. You are worthy.